Yo, 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 yo! What's up, all you burners, stoners, and potheads out there? This is Weedman 420 with the Weedman 420 Chronicles. How are all you vipers doing out there? Mrs. Weedman.
Mr. Weedman.
How the hell are you?
I'm all right.
All righty then.
All righty.
Hey, everybody out in the world. Hopefully you're smoking big fat doinks while you're listening. It was a good Saturday in Illinois. We had about 65 degrees, 70 degree weather. It was great. And I was telling Mrs. Weedman that it was going to be the same on Sunday.
Yeah.
And we got lied to. It was supposed to be like 68 degrees again, and it was like 40. It was
So I went out without a jacket. Thanks, Mr. Weedman.
Sorry about that.
Freezing.
We really thought it was going to be warm. I was so excited because I went on a 4-mile walk on Saturday. It was beautiful out. Beautiful, quite windy, but beautiful out. And now we had snow today.
Yeah.
Snow.
It was
Snow.
big, slushy, sloshy
Oh, it was gross.
snow. I opened my trunk and all the snow slid off my back window right into my trunk. Started my day off great. Guess I should have wiped my window off first, right?
I like to call it a fool's spring because we all get fooled by those nice days in March that make it 1 or 2 and thinking it's going to come to an end, and it doesn't.
It doesn't.
Nope. Gonna be cold all for the next couple of weeks. here in Illinois.
No, you're wrong. I
Am
don't know
I?
where you're getting your weather forecast from because the news forecast today said it's going to be like a week of 30s and 40s, and then it goes back up in the 50s and 60s next week.
Next week.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's not
I'll
2
take
weeks.
that.
That's
No,
a week.
A week. All right.
We're getting there.
I tell you what.
What?
Apple weather lies to me a lot.
It's a big liar.
Also, something big. It is the start of Women's History Month.
Yeah.
The start of Women's History Month. So, to all you women out there in the world, this is your month, but I don't believe it's just your month. It's just you are every day to me.
It's every month is
Every
Women's Month.
That's it. So I don't know why you just get 1 month.
Mr. Weedman's been trained well.
It should be every day, every month of the year.
But we make a big deal out of it this month.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, and Mrs. Weedman's gonna lead you into this with a great article. So, Mrs. Weedman, take it away. Women's History Month.
Yeah, we've got an article about women cultivators.
Oh, wait.
What?
We didn't smoke.
Oh, shoot.
We were so excited
Let's
about
smoke.
Women's History Month. We're gonna smoke. Mrs. Weedman's gonna light up. Sorry about that, everybody. We'll get back to the Women's Month. We're gonna smoke. We're smoking runts. I have never smoked this strain before. I've been wanting it for a long time. Super excited. It's a balanced hybrid strain. Created through a delicious cross of an infamous Skittles, and gelato strains. Named for its iconic candy, Runt brings a super delicious fruity flavor with tropical citrus and sour berries galore. The aroma is very similar, although with a sharp, spicy pineapple effect that turns slightly pungent as the sticky little nugs are broken apart and burned. The Runt's high comes from roaring in a few minutes after your final toke, first hitting your head with a calming lift before spreading its tingy tendrils throughout the rest of your body. As the Runt's high expands, you'll begin to feel a deeply calming effect spread through your limbs, Mrs. Weedman,
How about
leaving you totally sedated and couch-locked, immovable for hours and hours on end. That's weird for
I thought
a
it was
sativa.
a sativa.
It says it is. So before you finally fall into a deep and peaceful sleep. Man, this is a hybrid. It does say it's a 50-50 hybrid, but the strain that we got this from says it's more a sativa dominant strain. So if anybody knows, reach out to Mr. Weedman.
Not
I'm
very
still learning.
flavorful.
No?
I don't know. I'm not tasting much.
Runs to about like between 19 and 29%. Ours is 26%.
I'll just keep smoking it.
There you go. THC level runs is often said to be perfect for treating conditions such as insomnia, chronic pain, appetite loss, or nausea, and chronic stress or anxiety. The bud has dense grape-shaped olive green nugs with thin orange hairs, dark purple undertones, and coating of a frosty, tiny white-purple tinted crystal trichomes. So the effects are calming, hungry, great, relaxing, sleeping, and uplifting. Relieve symptoms of anxiety, appetite loss, chronic pain, insomnia, nausea, and stress. Flavors are fruity, pineapple, spice, sweet, tropical. Some aromas are earthy, herbal, sour, spicy, sweet, and tropical.
So basically, the two strains are contradicting each other.
Yeah, a lot.
One puts you to sleep, one wakes you up, one tastes sweet, one tastes spicy.
Yeah.
So I didn't taste anything, but
No.
No.
And you didn't even have a cough drop this time.
No.
Well, go ahead and start.
That's all right.
I'm
Let's
going to
see what it
smoke
does.
now. Ms. Weedman's going to talk about women in cannabis and cultivation.
Yeah, ladies. I've got an article here about women cultivators behind the Passes Farm to Label Cannabis. Emmeline Bona and Amy Gose are helping pave the way for more women growers to join the legal recreational cannabis industry. While the legal recreational cannabis industry has become known as a haven for women entrepreneurs and leaders in traditional white-collar fields, cannabis cultivation has long lagged behind when it comes to gender parity. That's why Emmeline Bona and Amy Gose, two women cultivators at the Berkshires-based vertically integrated recreational cannabis company, The Pass, are so passionate about creating a meaningful space at the company for women who want to grow. The traditional illegal cannabis market has long been supported on the backs of women, said Bona, who joined The Pass in 2020 after over a decade of growing cannabis at home alongside her other gardening pursuits. Women, specifically women of color, have always been background players, even though it was women who were doing a lot of the growing and processing for the traditional market. With Massachusetts' legalization of recreational cannabis in 2016, both Bona and Gose jumped at the opportunity to finally start making a career out of their passion for the plant. It had been a dream of mine since before legalization to be able to grow cannabis for a living, and I was excited to finally be able to do it legally at the Pass, Bona said. Plus, it was exciting to work at a company that is both vertically integrated and run by a local member of the community rather than someone who came to Massachusetts for the green rush, she says, of Berkshire Mountain Distillers owner Chris Weld, the Berkshire's native who co-founded The Pass. Gose, who joined The Pass last fall, got her start in the industry as a lab technician in another cannabis facility in Massachusetts. As part of her training there, she often found opportunities to assist the cultivation team and quickly found it was a perfect fit. As a part of the small 16-person team of cultivators responsible for growing the farm-to-label cannabis at the heart of all of the Pass's products, Bona and Gose have become a vital part of the journey from seed to sale. Working together at one of the Pass's 3 cultivation sites in Sheffield, the two women spend their days in the greenhouses and fields doing everything from transplanting to maintaining flower beds, trimming, and harvesting cannabis plants. While just a few years ago the career path they now share was just a dream, now they both are doing a job they love with a team they respect, while fulfilling their own passions and helping to create a more equitable industry for many other women growers who are sure to follow. Very cool.
Very cool.
When our kids were little, our daughter had a little door plaque, and it said "Girls rule, boys drool," and we used to fist pump each other, and then when our fists hit, then our hands would burst open psh. We go, girls rule and boys drool.
I remember you guys would do that.
We were very, very high on the girl power here.
It was great.
Make your way, ladies. I mean, a lot of times that's what it takes. You just got to get out there and do it. And you don't take no's. That's all it is. Don't take no's. Get back up.
Consistency and persistency always wins.
There's always room for us. We just have to push a little harder to get in there. So, go on, Mr. Weedman.
Go on. Girl power. Cannabinomics refers to the scientific approach of using mass spectrometry and statistical analysis to differentiate between available cannabis species. Science, science, science. It is the year 2022 where cannabis laws are becoming more flexible by the day, and adequate and precise information about the natural herb is available to everyone. While we are all grateful for the growth of cannabis laws and regulations, there's still a need for more scientific research about the plant. In the article I'm about to read you all, Cannabinomics and its use in analyzing cannabis varieties. What is Cannabinomics? It is safe to say that Cannabinomics isn't exactly a word that is commonly used among the majority of cannabis enthusiasts, and this is because it's a majority of scientific term. Cannabinomics refers to the scientific approach of using mass spectrometry and statistical analysis to differentiate between available cannabis species. In clearer terms, the scientific process involves the use of analytical process to identify phytochemical markers that can be used to differentiate between cannabis varieties. The general knowledge among most cannabis users is that the difference in cannabis varieties largely boils down to whether it's a sativa indica hybrid or both. While this may be fundamentally true, there is still more to the difference in cannabis varieties than the species they originate from. This is why many cannabis growers and researchers over time have used THC and CBD concentration as a major marker in differentiating varieties. The use of THC and CBD as main markers as differentiating cannabis varieties has been quite instrumental both in terms of research, cultivation, and use. This is because it helps give the grower or the user an idea of what to expect from the herb. However, there's still room for differentiating cannabis varieties beyond just THC and CBD, which is where Cannabinomics comes in. The process uses compounds less prominent as THC and CBD to analyze and differentiate different cannabis varieties. Man, those words are tongue-tying me right now, and I'm baked. A closer look at Cannabinomics. Cannabinoids might be the most talked about constituent in the cannabis plant matrix, owing to their psychoactive and medicinal effects. Yet, that doesn't mean they are only compounds present in cannabis plant matrix. Other important phytochemicals includes terpenes, flavonoids, alkaloids, ligands, phytotesterols, among others. I didn't even know they had like ligands and phytotesterols in there, among others. These chemicals play specific roles in synergistically producing the medicinal effects of cannabis in dealing with pain, metabolic disorders, neurodegenerative disorders, seizures, cardiovascular disorders, and many more. The obvious benefits of this herb have improved the pace of scientific research into the available varieties of cannabis, how they elicit their effects, and other possible medicinal effects yet to be discovered. This is why we have to federally legalize this or get it off, decriminalize it, deschedule it off the Schedule 1. I mean, that just one paragraph I read, I learned so much just in that one paragraph because there's more to this plant than what we've been led to and all the lies we've been told. Right. So, with over 10 articles being published daily, the demand for scientific literature on cannabis is ever increasing, and proper differentiating and identification of cannabis strain varieties is key to meeting this demand. The science of Cannabinomics. As stated earlier, Cannabinomics seeks to utilize numerous metabolites that are less prominent than THC and CBD to analyze different cannabis varieties. Cannabinomics, therefore, becomes a more comprehensive approach and is gradually gaining acceptance in plant science research. The approach uses either liquid chromatography, mass spectrometer, gas chromatography, mass spectrometer. The acronyms is LC-MS or GC-MS, or nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, NMR, for detection. The detection and annotation process is also supported by the use of bioinformatics and statistical analysis to classify the chemotypes and identify other phytochemicals present. You go, Mr. Weedman, isn't it just weed? Yes, but there's so much more to it that we're learning, and it's fucking awesome. The scientific procedure of Cannabinomics commences with identifying and collecting the plant material to be used. This is then followed by metabolome analysis using appropriate materials while ensuring good laboratory practices. The products then go through a data mining process using the available analytical tools. The results obtained from the analytical tools can be used by genotyping of the cultivars, quantification of main phytocannabinoids, and other statistical analysis. The advantage of Cannabinomics. Before we delve into the advantages of Cannabinomics over other approaches, we need to state some of the hindrances to the proper identifications of phytocannabinoids. Only a few phytocannabinoids are available commercially, and those that are available are very expensive. There are also restrictions by national regulations to some standards with which studies to the use of in-house database or mass spectral libraries. The first advantage of Cannabinomics over the approaches is that it shows major discernment compounds between varieties. Through proper annotation and detection of these compounds, Cannabinomics helps to improve the fast and biological research into such varieties. It also helps in characterizing possible entourage effects of such discriminant molecules and varieties being analyzed. The second advantage of Cannabinomics over other analytical approaches is that it helps in unraveling characteristics makers of different cannabis varieties. While a host of cannabis phytochemicals have been identified, you're baked, I could tell.
I am.
And there are still numerous specific markers of each variety yet to be identified. Cannabinomics unravels such a characteristics markers using independent heat map analysis and ANOVA test. Cannabinoids, it's even getting worse now. I'm big.
That's a rough word.
It is. Also helps to easily classify and analyze varieties depending on quantified phytocannabinoids. There are different types of phytocannabinoids that exist as different isomers, and the liable nature of their acidic form makes this classification important for further research purposes. There are a plethora of other benefits that use Cannabinomics as a research tool for analyzing cannabis tables, bringing to the table. This is why the approach is widely being accepted and increasing in use in different studies amid the at analyzing the complex matrix of phytochemicals in the cannabis plant. So the bottom line, there's still much to be achieved using Cannabinomics as it applies to the detection and annotations of phytochemicals. This is because it doesn't limit analysis to phytocannabinoids alone, but instead extends to other compounds such as terpenes, flavonoids, alkaloids, and so on. The knowledge gained through Cannabinomics will be instrumental in cultivating plants with the right chemotype and genotype needed for food and material purposes. The knowledge from Cannabinomics is also important in the medicinal world as it helps to improve the breeding of cannabis varieties with greater expression of minor phytocannabinoids. This will further help to correlate therapeutic effects with the perceived entourage effect of such cannabinoids, which we all need. And we've talked about other articles like where they're going to be able to make a strain especially just for you, for your needs and what you like, and you might be able to get 2 or 3 different strains made for you because you want to try different things. But those 3 strains are your strains that were genetically modified for your body and what your endocannabinoid system will need. So you're not just getting something to try and spend very expensoraries. They're not dispensaries to me, they're expensoraries.
I was like, what is that? What's that?
Exactly. So you're not wasting money and trying stuff until you find the strains that work for you. I've spent a lot of money in my time of smoking weed. And then as I've learned in the last probably 5 years, 7 years of what all this stuff is, I found strains that do well for my endocannabinoid system in my body, and so is Mrs. Weedman. We know what we like, so that's what we want to grow. That's what we want. Plus, I like to try other things and I grow other things, but also try other strains too, just to see what it's all about. We found the certain strains that we like. Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Weedman?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
You know, so the more science and the more cannabinomics that we get to learn about, I'm going to put it out there for you all because it's just so interesting to learn about what this plant is. And I'll read an email a little later I got from a gentleman too that's a listener with him and his son, which was pretty great too. So he was saying how much he loves the plant. If you are a burner, stoner, pothead, you love the plant, and you know there's angels in those leaves. So, so anyway, edibles. Here we go again, talking about those eddies.
Edibles.
Edibles. I love you.
Are you guys tired of hearing about edibles?
No.
I don't think you are.
It's so much of the market.
Because, yeah, and there's so many new users or people that just want to use cannabis, but they don't want to have to smoke. So edibles are here to stay, and here we are. We're going to talk about them
Give me
today,
those eddies.
and I'm going to talk about them another day. You know what? I am really high, and I was just thinking, so we have these 2 great trees out back. They canopy our house really nicely. They're probably, I don't know, our house is like 60 years old, so they're probably 60 or 70-year-old trees.
Probably.
And we always have squirrels. So now we're empty nesters, right? And then our dogs passed because they got old. And so we have 2 little birds and us. Well, guess what I have become? The squirrel lady. I feed our freaking squirrels.
Well, you just don't feed them.
No.
Let me explain something to everyone out in the world. She just doesn't throw like some nuts on the ground. She makes squirrel balls.
I make squirrel balls.
Tell them these are like.
It was like everything in the kitchen sink, you know, like the kitchen sink salad or the kitchen sink sandwich. I make squirrel balls, and it's just stuff from the cabinet, right? That someone open a package of this and that and the other. Well, now that it's evolved and now I don't have anything left in my cabinets to concoct these out of. So now I go to like the grocery store and I buy whatever peanut butter is on sale. And I buy like uncooked oats, whole oats, and trail mix. And what else?
You get dried bananas, peanuts.
Yeah, trail mix. Yeah, dried fruits, whatever. And then and honey. And just buy cheap honey. Who cares where it's from, what grade honey it is, just the cheapest honey. You just mix that shit
Fucking
together.
Squirrels, you better than me.
And then roll them into a ball. Oh my God, these little, they love this shit. I did a test last week. I had like leftover.
Most people listening that are into that stuff probably thinking those things sound fucking great.
Yeah, you could eat them. They're all for human consumption, right? And put them in the fridge. I have them in a Ziploc. They're in the fridge, and each ball is like the size of a golf ball. And the little squirrels, they like when they pick them up, they put them in their little hands and they spin them. And spin them around until they find like the right, and they taste test them in all different areas. Oh my God, it's funny. And why am I even talking about that?
Because you were talking about Eddies.
Edibles,
right?
Squirrel balls,
but you won't feed them in the summer that much because
no,
they get
and
their
I don't
own
want
food.
loose food because I don't want to have rodents or anything in the backyard. So the squirrel balls are great. They like, well, I know, but it's like it's different of a squirrel and a rat. I don't want a rat.
You fed them
there.
during the cold winter.
Yeah,
going into like the spring and
I
summer.
don't do it every day.
Right.
I put 4 of them out there at a time.
Probably
I watch,
once a week you're doing it.
Yeah, I watch them take each of them. They'll sit and eat it for a few minutes and then take it to the tree or go hide it somewhere. And then I figure if it gets into someone else's yard, it's all stuff that dogs
Well,
can
I know
have.
this.
It's
If
not
the
gonna hurt
fucking world
anybody.
comes to an end,
our squirrels are not going anywhere.
I'm going to be fed.
You're going to go look for the squirrel balls?
No, I'm going to eat the squirrels. They'll be nice and fat.
They're on a good diet.
Talk about those Eddies, will you?
Edibles. Well, maybe some of you are getting back to travel now that we are out of the heat of the COVID pandemic, right?
Summertime's coming. People are going to travel.
Coming. Yeah. So big question is, can you travel with your weed? Well, this is an article about traveling with edibles. Now that American airports have resumed commercial flights after the industry was placed on hold during the COVID-19 pandemic, people are returning to the skies for air travel in mass quantities. With that said, now is a good time to remind travelers of the laws in the United States regarding airports and cannabis. Many Americans planning trips may be asking the question, can you fly with edibles? Here's a brief guide that answers that question with relevant federal laws and airport policies. According to federal law, cannabis is a Schedule I controlled substance, meaning the government considers cannabis as having a high potential for abuse without relevant medical use. Even though 18 states allow the recreational usage of THC as of 2021, the federal stance remains restrictive. What does federal law have to do with airports? Well, airports receive federal funding and are regulated by the FAA, the Federal Aviation Administration. They fall under national jurisdiction. In addition, the Transportation Security Administration, or TSA, that staffs American airports is also a federal program. Because of this, travelers are subject to federal law in airports when it comes to cannabis. Even though edibles may be perfectly legal in some states, taking THC substances on an airplane is still illegal. I did not know this until I read this. I made my own rules in my own brain.
I knew it.
I mean, in theory, I guess I knew, but technically I didn't really. I just, again, made my own rules. Wait, we'll get there. I know exactly what Mr. Weedman wants to say. Hold your thought. What about passengers flying to and from legal states? Some edibles fans may be curious about whether or not the legal equation changes for passengers flying to or from or through states where cannabis is legal. Here are a few scenarios that commonly raise questions. If a plane departs from an airport in a cannabis-friendly state and lands in a cannabis-friendly state, are passengers then allowed to board with THC? That's the rule I follow. Whatever. That's my rule.
That should be the only rule.
I'm going from an okay state to an okay state. It's in my bag and whatever. And that's what I would tell anybody that might tap me on the shoulder and say, ma'am, this was in your bag.
Excuse me, ma'am.
I would say, I have a medical card. And they'd be like, and your point is, I'm traveling from a legal state to a legal state. And they'd be like, well, that's still illegal. And I'd say, I didn't know. And then what? I mean, they're kind of tied. What do? Just take your weed away?
Depending on how nice you are to them and how they feel that day.
I just play dumb. Not that would work, but okay. Another scenario that's common is, can you fly with edibles on a plane that departs and lands in the same legal state? You fly within the same state. I guess if you're like in a little private airplane or something.
Yeah.
Going from the north end to
Like
the
a little
south
puddle
end.
jumper.
Yeah. Okay. Another one is it legal to carry edibles on a plane if that plane departs from a cannabis-friendly state and lands in a state that is not cannabis-friendly, or vice versa? Okay. Well, even though these questions each raise interesting questions about jurisdiction, the answer for each scenario is still no, because air travel is regulated by the federal government. Flying with edibles is still not allowed, regardless of takeoff or landing destinations. Well, are there any medical exemptions for flying with cannabis products? For individuals who use THC medicinally, an allowance permits travelers to fly with cannabis-based products that test at less than 0.3% THC, so basically nothing, CBD, right? Here's what the TSA websites say about this exception. Marijuana and certain cannabis-infused products, including some CBD, remain illegal under federal law, except for products that contain no more than 0.3% THC, which would be CBD. Unfortunately, the percentage restriction precludes most edibles available on the market today in legal states, including many of those sold to California residents of legal age. So what happens if you try to take cannabis to an airport? Even though edibles are not permitted, many travelers still attempt to carry cannabis in their luggage to board a plane. When going through security, the TSA website explicitly states that agents do not specifically search for drugs during their screening process, including edibles. Great news, right? Well, not exactly. If an agent does search a traveler's luggage for an unrelated reason, however, there is a risk that the substances will be discovered and reported. If a guest is caught with cannabis, a TSA officer will turn the individual over to local law enforcement officials in the state where the incident occurs. See, that's where I feel like then you'd be fine because it's legal. So what are they going to do with you? Well, these are my interjections into what this person is clarifying with actual laws. Don't listen to me. While some try to hide edibles in their hollowed out bottles, cans, or other containers, there is a risk of promoting a more in-depth search. So can you consume edibles before a flight? So you're in security, they're going to check your bag. You're like, oh, shoot, I've got a bunch of edibles. And you pop them in your mouth. Now what happens?
I've done that.
Yeah. Well, or you just decide to take some because it makes your flight easier because you can just sleep. Well, if it is illegal to include edibles in luggage, is it also illegal to consume an item that contains THC before boarding a plane? Federal regulations concerning this question state that those who appear to be under the influence of drugs are not permitted to ride an airplane. So don't misbehave. No pilot of a civil aircraft may allow a person who appears to be intoxicated or who demonstrates by manner or physical indications that the individual is under the influence of drugs to be carried in that aircraft. Unfortunately, for those who enjoy edibles, though, carrying THC products on a plane is against federal law. Federal laws, rather than state laws, govern airports, whether the plane is traveling to, from, or between states that have legalized edibles. While the TSA agents do not search specifically for cannabis-based products, people may still be penalized by local law enforcement agencies if they are found in possession of THC. This would occur if a security officer at an airport discovered edibles while investigating luggage for a different reason. To stay on the safe side, observe federal law first when considering traveling with edibles. And then they have a little note at the bottom here that says, this information does not constitute legal advice and should not be taken as such. So
I'm going to give you some advice.
What is your advice?
My advice is this. If you're afraid of taking edibles because you can get in trouble, do what Mr. Weedman does and gets a Sour Patch Kids baggie or a Haribo gum.
You and everybody else.
I dump them out and I put my edibles in there, and they're usually now Ziploc bags, and you just fucking throw them in your bag.
Right.
Or put them in your fucking, if you're checking a bag in, put them in your check-in.
Yeah.
You know,
pretty
that's
simple.
what I do. I mean,
Although one time I did fly with joints, and I
so
came home.
I have now.
I know, but I can't. It was a couple of years ago, and I came home with a box of pre-rolls, and Mr. Weedman's like, You flew with these?"
Well, because
I
you
was
always
like, "Oh,
yell,
I thought I
because
should.
you
I
always
thought I
like
could."
you always yell at me when I always bring weed on the plane, and I'm like, man, what's
But I
up with
check my
that?
bag.
Well, that's what I do. I mean, if
I
I'm
know.
carrying flour, I check my bag, and it goes in my Dob kit.
Right,
If I fly with my pen looks like a vape. It looks like a jewel.
right.
So you never know what it is, and I've never been stopped. Edibles, like I said, I just switch it.
Throw them in
Throw
a
'em
little
in
mint box.
yeah, a
or
little mint
container.
box or a
Right.
container that looks like real candy. Here's the crazy thing. So I'm looking at this next article I'm going to read, and it just says it has like a picture of some weed, and it shows the cannabinoids in there. It says CBG, and one says, so I wonder if you like flew with CBG. They would have. That's not illegal to fly with that.
Yeah,
so
but
if it
there's
was a
THC
straight,
in there.
No, if it was a straight CBG product,
Oh,
you can't get in trouble for that.
yeah.
You know, anything that doesn't have like THC or CBD, all those other,
Can you get CBG without THC?
it's mixed with THC
Right.
and stuff like that. But they're making.
You're making your own rules right now.
No, I'm not. What I'm saying is, though, I've seen products where they're going to start just making straight like minor cannabinoid products without THC
Yes,
in it.
we've talked about
So
that.
you could fly with CBG because
Right.
it's not a Schedule 1. So there's all those minor cannabinoids that you're going to be able to travel with. CBN. Mm-hmm. If you can get just a straight CBN product, you know, they can't arrest you for that because it's not on the Schedule 1. So there's ways to go around it. But just listen, I don't want any of you to get in trouble for my advice, but that's what I do. Take it or leave it. So, get ready for the Northeast to become cannabis country. All these states in the Northeast, from Jersey all the way up to Maine. You know, the Northeast is going to be crazy. It's poised to transform the U.S. cannabis industry and make New York City one of the top, I'm not going to say the nation's weed capital because the West Coast is the best and it's been doing it for way longer than the East Coast. So you're so far behind. Okay, yes, traditional market's been on the East Coast for so long, but let's not start this East Coast, West Coast bullshit again, okay? The Northeast is going to do great. I'm proud of y'all for getting weed. New York, you're able to smoke in the streets. Jersey, Connecticut, with a combined population of 33 million, and they're scrambling right now to open recreational markets in the coming months. Jersey saying in the next couple of weeks. New York's probably a few months away. Connecticut too. So millions of other East Coast residents in neighboring states will suddenly find themselves within the easy drive of legal weed states. So if you're in like North Carolina and you're gonna run up to like Jersey to go get you some weed and drive home. I mean, I know it's a drive, but you can get some shit now. You know, after years of taking back seats, many industry observers believe that New York will become one of the epicenters of the cannabis industry, and the city's outsized influence could be long-sought catalyst for federal leaders to pursue a national legalization approach. New York is going to be the Amsterdam on steroids, and here's why I think of that: because there's a huge population, and they get about 10 million people of tourists a year in New York. It's going to be friggin' out of control, despite the. New York and Connecticut passed legalization last year, while Jersey lawmakers approved a legal cannabis framework carrying out 2020 ballot measures allowing adult use. Man, it's over a year, Jersey, and you're just finally going to get it going. But through the federal government continues to classify cannabis an illegal drug with no medical uses. There are now 18 states nationwide that have embraced recreational legalization, representing nearly half of the country's population. Another 19 have enacted comprehensive medical programs. So let's see here. The Garden State gets the jump before a single recreation use shop opens in Manhattan. The Northeast customers will likely flock over to the Garden State. The only thing is, though, they're allowing just the medical. A lot of the dispensaries aren't even opening yet in Jersey, and they're allowing the medical dispensaries to supply rec. Man, rec users, please be gentle, man, because those medical, they're already short already as it is, and it's going to be busy. So be patient. Let the medical patients get their medicine. I know you want it to. Be nice. The almost certainly means Jersey will get a jump on seizing market share and initial tax revenue from recreational sales. Let's see here. Cannabis Regulatory Commission Executive Jeff Brown described the cannabis market as operating on two tracks: existing medicinal operators looking to phase in recreational sales and brand new recreational businesses entering the industry. Pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it's a lot of money that's going to be coming out of the Northeast, a lot of weed. Once everyone gets up and running, about a year to 2 years once you go into rec that you finally catch up. So just be patient, everybody. You'll get your weed. What sucks is that there's going to be like very few of those states allow home grow, which is just total bullshit, which makes me very upset. So some things to know. A new report from Treasury Department Financial Crimes Enforcement Network shows that the number of banks working with cannabis businesses is increasing. That's good. Missouri lawmakers filed resolutions calling on President Joe Biden to pardon people convicted of cannabis offenses and take action in the combat to racial double standard. A new poll found that 61% of Wisconsin voters, including a majority of Republicans, support legalizing cannabis. And Tony Evers and Democratic lawmakers have pushed for the reform only to be consistently blocked by GOP legislative leaders. A new survey shows that more Americans think it's good for people to switch to cannabis and drank less alcohol than think the substitution would be bad. GW Pharmaceuticals and Cannabis Growth Corporation agreed to a joint court filing that Cannabis can't win its cannabis extraction patent infringement case under a federal judge interpretation of the definition of CO2 and liquefied form of supercritical pressure and temperature conditions. Let's see here. Illinois Governor Pritzker tweeted applications for the next round of Restore, Reinvest, and Renew grants are due Tuesday. The R3 is a core intent of Illinois cannabis legalization framework, setting them apart from states that have legalized, funding community organizations, and another step towards justice. Texas Democratic gubernatorial candidate Beto O'Rourke, a former congressional, pledged to legalize cannabis in his primary election victory speech. South Dakota, man. I tell you what. The South Dakota House of Representatives adopted an amendment to ban medical cannabis home cultivation. Just disappointing me. Listen, I want to come to South Dakota with Mrs. Weedman and help you all fight for legalization. Invite us out there, we'll come. I'll come and stand on the friggin' Capitol with a sign that says legalize it in my Weedman 420 costume and hold it up for man, that's just fucked up. The Ohio House of Representatives passed a bill to add autism spectrum disorder as a medical cannabis qualifying condition. The Utah House of Representatives approved a bill on cannabis definitions and penalties. Florida legalization to allow medical cannabis patients to renew their recommendations via telehealth died without committee action. U.S. Virgin Island regulators released proposed medical cannabis rules. Washington state regulators adopted pesticides and heavy metal testing rules for cannabis products. Good for them. Maine regulators are discontinuing a proposed effort to revise medical cannabis rules. Colorado regulators reported that the share of minority owners of cannabis businesses has now increased to 17.5%. That's awesome. Keep on growing. The Pennsylvania Department of Health is hiring a new top medical cannabis regulator. The Massachusetts Department of Fire and Services tweeted, cannabis extraction processes that use flammable gases such as butane and propane are subject to strict safety regulations. The unlicensed use can cause serious injuries or worse. Virginia House Committee kills bill to begin cannabis sales this year. Ugh, so disappointing. Most Ohio voters would support cannabis legalization at the ballot. Poll finds as lawmakers forced to tackle the issue. Go Ohio. Go Ohio. Get that shit done. Rhode Island lawmakers unveiled cannabis legalization bill after months of negotiations. White House discourages employees for cannabis investments. This is crazy. The White House is warning that it might deny security clearance to employees who invest in cannabis companies, Politico reported. The new employee conduct guideline addressed in an internal executive branch presentation that was shared with Politico follows last year's firing of some employees who used cannabis. Eligibility may be negatively impacted in an individual knowingly and directly invest in stocks or business ventures that specifically pertain to cannabis growers and retailers, according to a document cited by Politico. Decisions to willfully invest in such activity could reflect questionable judgment and willingness to comply with laws, rules, and regulations. The Biden administration stance toward cannabis has been frustrating to the industry officials. One flashpoint was the administration's comment that rules are the rules when sprinter Sha'Carri Richardson was excluded from the Olympics team for using cannabis. But Politico noted that the White House actually has had a more forgiving posture than its procedures. Double standards, man. For example, a presidential memo issued early in Biden's administration says that previous cannabis use won't automatically disqualify applicants for White House jobs. And as Politico pointed out, the guidance on stocks also could suggest that the Biden administration wants potential conflict of interest to be eliminated in advance of cannabis being treated more as a normal rather than unlawful business. Interesting. Montana retailers sold $13 million of recreational cannabis during February. Good for you, Montana. This is disappointing. And I hate, because I never mentioned Georgia that much, and we have huge friends down there that listen to us, and man, I love you down there in Georgia. Georgia medical cannabis patients still forced to rely on the traditional market. In the article, it says illicit market, but I'm trying to change that. Traditional market, 7 years after legalization.
That's nuts.
Fucking ridiculous. Voters, man, what are you doing in Georgia? Why are you letting these... Oh, it's so frustrating. I got a lot of friends in Georgia. I'd come down to Georgia, too, and fight for legalization for you guys. I'll take a road trip. Mrs. Weedman, you take a road trip to Georgia?
Heck yeah.
South Dakota?
Yeah.
Nebraska?
I'm up for it.
Man,
Let's
telling you,
go.
there's more states out there, too. We come out and help. Tulsa Community College now offers 3 8-week cannabis education programs centered around certificates for dispensary associates, cultivation technicians, and manufacturing agents. I still believe that we just talked about this the other night. All community college should be free. I'm not saying books, you got to buy your books, but I'm talking about tuition should be free, and it should be paid for with the tax dollars coming in from cannabis. And all people that want to go and use that benefit, it should be, there should not only the community college to teach classes, it should get certifications in the trades, stuff that people can go to that school for. I know they do, but it should all be free.
Yeah, I agree.
With the money that comes from, with the cannabis tax dollars. That's what it should be used for. And then people can go get good paying jobs in cannabis, but now it doesn't all have to be cannabis. Please start using this money for community college for people that can go to college that can't afford it, and help them grow, help them get good, solid, teach them how to own their own business. Man, do something. But good for you, Tulsa Community College. Like I said, I went to Moraine and did mine there, and they only offered one. Maybe they'll start doing cultivation and manufacturing. It'd be great. Because right now they're just doing the
Bud tender.
Yeah, basically the retail specialist course.
Right.
And then there's some new stuff going on with the Oklahoma medical cannabis legalization there. There's a bunch of new rules bolstering the Oklahoma Medical Cannabis Authority, the OMMH. There's, oh my God, the party's fucking over. I'm gonna read some of them, but there's a lot. Well, it's just crazy. It was on NPR, their list, and I found another one too. I'll read that next week. On the next episode, but this would implement a secret shopper program in which employees from the OMMH would purchase cannabis from dispensaries and send it to labs to test for contaminants and potency. That's HB 3971. HB 3813 would designate the OMMH inspectors as law enforcement, allow them to aid and assist in enforcement and prosecutions. Oh my God. HB 4411 would mandate the OMMH to administer a minimum of 1 inspection per year for cannabis businesses and licensed facilities. That's fine. HB 3208 would issue a moratorium of business licensing for either 2 years or until the OMMH can complete all pending license reviews, inspections, and investigations. HB 4055 would require public utility companies to submit monthly reports to OMMH on how much water, electricity, or other public utilities are being used by commercial growers. I think that's one that they're trying to use to try to get the illegal grows out of there. So, because there is a lot of illegal growing in Oklahoma. HB 3634 would create a wholesaler tier of licensing to deal with sales and distribution channels of cannabis. There's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like 7, 8, 9, 10 other regulations and new stuff. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I told you guys don't fuck it up. Man, just have fun. It's cannabis, man. Here's a good one for Illinois. Illinois House approves workplace protections for cannabis consumers. That's awesome. Adults in Illinois who use legal cannabis during their free time would be protected from losing their jobs under a bill approved last Thursday by the state's House of Representatives. The measure, which now proceeds to the Senate, would prohibit most employers from firing workers or discriminating against job applicants merely for testing positive for cannabis use, with some exceptions. Okay, if we're going to legalize the substance, you should talk about the individual's liberties. I like that. And what people want to do with their weekends. says bill sponsor Republican Representative Bob Morgan. He's a Democrat. Sorry about that. Told local embassy affiliate WGE before the vote. We should allow people to make good choices and not be discriminated against in the workplace because of those choices, as long as it's not affecting the workplace. God, that's great. What have I been saying? I've been saying that for a while. So I think it's great. It's the House passed an amended version of the Morgan's Bill HB 416 in a 61-41 vote on last Thursday, with one member voting present. Lawmakers approved two amendments, including one that replaced the original bill in the entirety and another that modified the new language. Man, that's awesome. That's good stuff, Illinois. So read more about the bill. It better pass fully, get it done. So, hey, with these fucking gas prices out of fucking control right now, and I mean, they're going to get more higher. Just deal with it until, man, this world gets settled down over in Europe and stuff like that. So this is something we got to deal with right now. So I know it's frustrating, but man, how do we save some money right now if you're on a budget?
Yeah. I've got ways to save money with cannabis without buying less of it. I've got 6 ways to get high on a budget. Between supply chain issues and a global pandemic, now is a tough time to budget for weed. According to a report published last week by New Leaf Data Services, the average price of cannabis in the U.S. was $1,497 a pound. And due to lack of federal regulation, cannabis prices vary wildly depending on where you're buying it. For recreational consumers, buying less weed can make for a big change in lifestyle. For medical users, it could have serious health implications. So how do you save money on weed without buying less of it? We brainstormed some ideas, did a little research, and talked to Alex Levine, Chief Development Officer at Ease, one of California's largest legal cannabis companies. Fusing together all of these forces of knowledge, we came up with a comprehensive 6-step guide to saving money on cannabis without compromising the mass of your stash. Water. Here's how to save money on weed in 2022. 1. Buy in bulk. This tip might get you the most bang for your buck. Medical and recreational cannabis dispensaries will often give consumers a price break for purchasing larger amounts of cannabis. An ounce of cannabis flower, for instance, will usually be 10 to 20% cheaper than the same amount of weed purchased in small amounts over time. Levin says the consumer isn't the only one who benefits from bulk purchases. Bulk purchases use less packaging, so it's a lot less material, and there's a lot less labor that goes into it, Levine told Green State. So from the dispensary's perspective, there's incentive to encourage people buying in bulk. Levin added that buying bulk is also better for our environment, since the minimal packaging creates less waste. So between being better for the earth, better for your local dispensary, and better for your wallet, buying weed in bulk seems like a win-win-win situation to us. Of course, if you want to buy in bulk, you'll have to get good at storing cannabis so it lasts. More on that later. 2. Sign up for dispensary newsletters and loyalty programs. You know that newsletter from your local dispensary that sits in your inbox every week? Start reading it. Regularly checking emails and SMS notifications from your favorite dispensaries is one of the best ways to invest your time if you want to save big on weed. Since cannabis companies are restricted from large-scale advertising opportunities in many markets, most dispensaries and cannabis delivery services fully rely on these channels to alert customers to upcoming discounts and special offers. And if you're part of a dispensary's loyalty program, you may receive free or discounted products and other perks based on previous purchases. 3. Change what cannabis products you use. Spending too much on weed? You might get more return on your investment by switching to a new method of consumption. As most of us are aware, there's more than one way to get weed into your system. You can smoke it, vaporize it, eat it in gummies or baked goods, etc., etc., etc. There are even topical THC and CBD creams that absorb into your skin. With all of these options, it's easy for buyers to become allured by the newest, trendiest product. As a general rule, though, Levin says the less processed the product is, the cheaper it will be. Dollar for dollar, gram for gram, flower is generally the most cost-effective, Levin says. Levin. I keep saying both, don't I? Well, you know that person, Levine. Every time a manufacturer is making edibles or vape products, they have to extract it. So there's extra labor involved and the materials cost more. It's like buying groceries instead of going out to eat. When you want to save money, buy the ingredients, not the meal. 4, make your stash last. Remember what we said about buying in bulk? If you're going to do that, you'll need to know how to store your weed so it lasts longer. Otherwise, all of the extra cannabis you bought will look and taste nasty by the time you get to it. Oxygen is the enemy of cannabis. To keep your weed fresh and flavorful, you'll want to keep your stash somewhere air can't find it. Levine recommends storing your weed in an airtight container. Glass jars with airtight seals work well for this, and there are also vacuum-sealed cannabis containers available for purchase online. Here's a quick tip for cannabis storage. Stop using plastic bags. Ziploc bags will give your weed a plasticky taste. And even though they may look airtight, the material they are made of is porous. That's why if you leave weed in a Ziploc bag, you'll start to smell it around the house pretty soon. 5, grow your own weed. Similarly,
That should be number 1.
I know, right? But in states where you can, right, grow your own weed. Similarly to growing vegetables in your own backyard, growing your own cannabis can be an effective way to save some money. But there's a catch. This tip only works if you're really, really good at it.
That's not true.
Yeah, I know, because you've experienced it.
That's not true.
But it's technical. You have to know
trial
what
and
you're
error,
doing.
of
It's
course.
trial and
But you're
error.
going to get something. You might not get a lot off your first grow, but you're going to get something. So it's
You can't just put a plant in a window and let it grow.
No.
There's things you have to
read,
do.
learn. You've heard us talk about home grow. It has its ups and downs, but it's fun and it's yours. And it's once you get it
And
going,
you get a good bounty. Yeah. Cannabis is extremely difficult to grow, according to this article, and even more difficult to grow in large quantities. It requires several additional expenses many growers don't consider. For what small-scale growers will spend keeping their plants alive, you could probably buy twice the amount of harvested cannabis at a local dispensary, and that's assuming the plants yield at all. I disagree with that too, because we did do some calculations after your first harvest, and then
paid by what I spent in the tent.
It paid
On
for
the first
itself.
harvest.
Yeah, all of the equipment
Everything
I think was covered
on the first grow.
on the first grow, and then the second grow was
All back,
right.
nothing.
Except for utilities, right in time.
Yeah, but that's nothing.
Nothing.
Compared to what you're getting 9 ounces off my last grow, say on average, just say average $220 an ounce. I'm just saying.
Right.
9 ounces. That's
Right.
good money. You know? It's almost $2,000
that you save. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, when you're growing, there is the cost of time. Growing cannabis is a multi-month investment. It takes 12 to 15 weeks for a cannabis clone to bud, and even longer if you start with seed. Then there's the cost of sustaining the plant. Just the nutrients, soil mix required to keep a cannabis plant healthy will cost more than a small amount of cannabis flower at your local dispensary. You should also factor in the electric bills that you'll rack up. It didn't rack up anything. Levine said the right reason to start growing your own weed is to pick up a new hobby or to try something creative and new, not necessarily to save money. You'd have to be a phenomenal grower to make growing cannabis. Well, this is a cultivator talking. They don't want you to grow your own weed.
True.
So maybe it was a little bit of a biased opinion.
Yeah, I think it was
Right.
biased. That's why I gave it to you,
Yeah.
too.
You'd have to be a phenomenal grower. Mr. Weedman never had a plant in his life before he grew weed.
100%.
And he got a bounty on his first grow. So it's doable, people. Very doable, right?
I
do some reading and YouTubing and
that's what I did.
there's so much
And talk
information out there.
I have people reaching out to me right now, and right now I'm sending everybody to our great friend Earl 217 Wes when they have questions on growing, questions on equipment, and also phenomenal phenos and beans that he has. So Wes, I love you, brother. So I know he's going to do his best to help everyone out there. So you help him out too and support his biz. So
Yeah. So step 6 in budgeting your cannabis budget or not spending as much on your cannabis. Number 6 is shop dispensaries located near other dispensaries. I never thought about that. But since the cannabis market is not yet federally regulated, the price of cannabis varies dramatically based on supply and demand, both for recreational and medical cannabis. In 2021, an Emerald Magazine report showed the cost of weed in Washington, D.C., a city where recreational cannabis is legal, but dispensaries are few and far between. And it was 3 times higher there than in Oregon, a state where recreational cannabis is legal and the dispensaries are plenty. So why isn't everyone pilgrimaging to Oregon to buy weed? Well, since cannabis is illegal under federal law, transporting across state lines is a felony, even if you're just driving it from one state where it's legal to another. Cannabis prices are affected by region, too. If you live in a rural area, try shopping at a dispensary somewhere closer to other dispensaries in your state. Competition drives down prices, so a dispensary in a city will usually keep their prices competitive with those surrounding them, while the only dispensary for 1,000 miles is more likely to jack up prices simply because it owns the local market. Bottom line, just because you're pinching pennies doesn't always mean you need to roll a smaller joint or forsake your nightly toke. In many cases, budgeting is about shopping smarter, not less.
Yeah.
So good pointers.
Good points. Except for that guy talking
Except
about
for
growing.
That. Yeah. She.
She? Oh, it was
Yeah.
she? Oh, well, then she should teach people how to home grow.
I don't know.
Teach people how to do it. Teach a person that doesn't
Oh,
have
no,
a lot of
it's
money.
a he.
Oh, it's a he? Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Alex Levine.
I don't know. Well, whatever. Use the pronouns then
Alex.
instead. So, I mean, whatever. I just think that was foolish. But because anybody can learn how to grow. Anybody. I can do it. Anybody around the world can do it. International news. In Jamaica, the government is seeking to encourage the development of new varieties of cannabis under the new plant varieties rights of breeders. Bill being developed by the Ministry of Industry, Investment, and Commerce. That's fucking awesome. In this bill, they're trying to get so it's not just about cloning. They're producing new phenos, new breeds, and then these breeders can develop these and get these new cannabis and then lock them in, which is dope. So good for Jamaica, man. That's awesome. Mexico, still, man, with these delays. Mexico, come on. O-Dog is going to Mexico soon. She's got to buy it from the traditional market. Come on. Give me a break. Mexico, you should be killing it right now. South Africa is making cannabis reform a priority, though. Good for you, South Africa. So we'll see if it goes. Costa Rica legalizes medicinal cannabis use and hemp growing.
And hemp growing. Cool.
Costa Rica. Yes. Medicinal cannabis was legalized last Wednesday in Costa Rica with the president signing of a law passed a day earlier by Congress. The law also legalizes the cultivation and industrial production of hemp. Recreational cannabis use continues to be prohibited. That's weird. Should just make it just all of it. Do it all. A previous attempt at the legislation was vetoed by President Carlos Alvarado earlier this year. Lawmakers made changes requested by the president. Alvarado highlighted that the new law will advance the rights to health for those who need cannabis to alleviate the effects of their illnesses and spur economic development in the rural areas where hemp will be grown. That's great. So good for them. But you should just do rec too and let people home grow. Get it all done. Israel poised to decriminalize recreational cannabis use. Good for Israel, man. Just do it. With all the studies you've done and Dr. Michellam, it should be rec. Let people just smoke it all they want out there. I gave you this article. Because it just suits you.
Yes, it does.
What is the one thing you get when, not me, what's the one thing you get all the time when you smoke?
Yeah, I know. Not you. Mr. Weedman never gets the munchies. Drives me freaking nuts because I could just eat my way through the kitchen. Nothing is ever satisfying. I've got 2 bites of this and 3 bites of that, two tree of these and 5 or 10 of those. I'll go from chocolate to salty
and
to
I can
savory.
have a handful of grapes and I'm good.
And I'm like, what? You're not normal, you big weirdo.
I gave
not
this
right.
article laughing. And I don't care. I don't care. You can eat whatever the fuck you want when you're smoking. You get the money. I don't care. This is just a funny article.
You never enjoy the experience.
I do on Saturdays with you.
You're so damn disciplined.
But the thing is, I gave this article not to make fun of you, not to.
Oh, thanks.
Not to stop you from getting the munchies.
Oh, you won't stop me.
Right. No, nothing can stop you. So, tell them what candy you had today.
Which time?
Exactly.
I had jelly beans. I had peanut M&Ms today. I had some ginger chews. I stared at the box of Fannie Mae chocolates a lot, but I didn't have any because it's not mine. I bought it from Mr. Weedman for Valentine's Day. He doesn't eat it.
That'll last me for like 5 months. But I share with you every time.
I just keep staring at the box. Isn't he going to eat a piece and share it with me? So I eat more M&Ms.
I'll share a piece with you after the show.
Okay. Right? Well, here, how about this? How to curb your munchies. 6 ways to fight cravings when you're high. I am just a sugar lover. Okay, the munchies, the strong and bizarre food cravings people often experience when they're high on weed, can be a funny, not to mention tasty part of the cannabis consumer experience. But the reality is, for those who consume cannabis on a daily basis for medical reasons or just as a way to relax throughout the day, the munchies can become a huge barrier to weight loss. Good news. Just because you wake and bake doesn't mean you have to slave to the potato chip bag. Similarly to how dieters treat typical food cravings, there are always ways to push your munchies away and lock the door behind them. Here are 6 crafty strategies to curb your munchies. 1. Set a meal schedule and stick to it. Okay. Having a mealtime schedule is beneficial whether you enjoy cannabis or not. When you don't eat at consistent times throughout the day, you're going to feel hungry when you least expect it. For those, it's not about hunger. You have munchies, right? For those who use cannabis, stick to a set food schedule, and it can help you avoid feeling hungry after a toke. I'm not hungry. I just want to have munchies. Try to stay busy. Yeah, busy munching. 2, while it's normal to slow down and enjoy the high after using marijuana, if you're prone to the munchies, it may be best to stay busy. The more activity you take part in while high, the less time you have to think about food. Bullshit. Choose the right strain. That's number 3. For some cannabis users, certain strains can cause them to experience more food cravings than others. That's true. If the strain you're using seems to ignite your appetite, try another. You may find something you can enjoy without extra snacks. 4, no snacks in sight.
Not in this fucking house.
Yeah, good luck.
If you ever want to come hang out with Mrs. Weedman, all of O-Dog's friends and Paulie's friends loved hanging out here.
Snacks.
And they know the corner.
In the kitchen.
Snacks.
There's a whole snack.
Galore.
There's a snack
in this
corner.
friggin' house. Wherever you go, there's snacks.
Yeah.
You cannot miss out on snacks. And Mrs. Weedman knows her snack game is fucking strong in this house. I will put Mrs. Weedman's fucking snack game. We'll post it on our story. We'll lay out her snack game one day for all of you to see. You will be like, I want to hang out with Mrs. Weedman and get baked. Snacks. This is like strong. Your snack game is strong.
No snacks in sight. So I don't know where they're going to have to go. Behind a cabinet, behind a steel door. Well, if the munchies are inevitable when you use weed, then try to avoid temptation. One way of doing this is by keeping unhealthy snacks out of your house altogether. Oh, I don't even know if I could. If you find yourself, even my car has snacks. If you find yourself always getting the munchies, it may be best if you buy healthier foods that are easily accessible. Candy is really easily accessible when you inevitably raid your fridge. I don't need a fridge. I need a basket for all the bags of candy. This is a great time to get into the leafy greens. Oh, yeah, a salad, sure. If the munchies strike and healthy foods are all you have in your house, you can say bye-bye. No, I'd be like, call a delivery service and bring us snacks. You can say bye-bye to the snacks.
I'm going to say bye-bye to this article in a second.
And have a cucumber. What the fuck? Who's doing that? Nobody. Like a fried zucchini, maybe. All right. I do like cucumbers, but not when I have a munchies. All right. Add in a workout. Yeah, I should do that, shouldn't I? Some people simply refuse to fight the munchies when they attack. That's fine. We get it. But that means you should prepare ahead of time. If you've resigned yourself to partaking in unhealthy snacks when your munchies attack, throw in a workout before you smoke or take an edible. This will help you prepare for the extra calories. That's nice balance, A little workout, eat more snacks. Then those calories are free, right? And then 6, use minty freshness to your advantage. Brushing your teeth may not be at the top of your list of fun things to do while you're high, but it can help fight the cravings. Brushing or using mouthwash will leave a fresh, minty taste in your mouth, and this doesn't always go well with certain foods and may help you avoid bad snacks when high. Plus, chewing on mint-flavored gum or sucking an icebreaker, mint is a good way to trick your brain into thinking that you're having a snack. Yeah.
Here's something.
That's true.
Here's something I'm gonna say.
I still want snacks.
When we go upstairs, we smoke every night before we go to bed. We're pretty baked in the bathroom. We have some fun times in the bathroom. A lot of laughs, right?
Yeah, like our bedtime, getting ready for bed.
Oh my God, because we're at our peak high and we got to brush our teeth and get ready for bed. Brushing your teeth with minty fucking toothpaste when you're high sucks.
You think so?
It fucking just makes my mouth. I want you to buy me the kids' fruity fucking toothpaste for a while, just for the nighttime. I want to
confetti toothpaste.
No, ugh, gross. like a cherry flavored or something. Something that's something that like at night, so I don't get such cotton mouth from the fucking toothpaste. It's brutal, fucking brutal.
Get you a little kitty Care Bear toothpaste.
Yeah, make sure it has like Care Bear head on it, and I can take it off and be stupid with it. So, but. You with the munchies, I love it. That was a perfect article.
That's pretty good. It's a bunch of shit. But anyone who likes to munchie is not going to listen to that article.
Well, they might like it because we made fun of it the whole time. And that's why I gave it to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go eat some snacks right now.
Oh, man. WNBA star Brittany Grenier detained in Russia on drug charges. She got caught with a vape pen. But it is so heavily regularized in Russia, man. Why didn't you throw that out before you got on the plane? And you can buy as many as you want when you get back to the United States. You can't smoke it on the plane anyway. Man, praying for her. Hopefully she gets out. She's the Mercury and USA Basketball said they're monitoring the situation with Grenier. And the Mercury adding the main concerns to her safety, physical, mental health, and her safe return home. Official says Grenier was carrying a vaping equipment with cannabis oil cartridges and can face up to 10 years in prison. Holy shit. Oof. And right now, our relationship with Russia is not the very best. So hopefully we could do something to get her home. Hopefully. So we're praying for you, Miss Grenier. Get home safe. Grandson of adventurer Jacques Cousteau launches Cannabis brand. A new company blending the rejuvenating properties of seaweed, kelp, algae with the healing benefits of cannabis launched last Wednesday with the rollout of line topicals and edibles in California, the nation's largest leading medical cannabis market. Co-founded by legendary marine adventurer Jacques Cousteau's grandson Felipe and his wife Ashlyn, Seaweed Naturals promises to help restore the globe's oceans while providing premium cannabis wellness products to its customers.
That's cool. Remember when we were in Seattle, that dispensary called The Reef was kind of attributed and dedicated.
Yeah,
there was like
they had
mural
with
Jacques Cousteau.
Yep.
Yeah.
The healing properties of cannabis and the superpowers of seaweed and algae-based omega-3s are a mighty combination, Ashlyn Cousteau writes in an email. When applied, topical seaweed and kelp have been proven to hydrate, minimize fine lines, promote collagen production, boost radiance, yada, 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 yada. So I'm not here to promote their brand. I just thought it was cool that Jacques Cousteau's grandson is starting a cannabis company. So I got a book sent to me about a month ago, and it's called The Business of Cannabis, a blueprint to a high income with winning strategies from 20 years in the game by Jared Kesselman. I read the book. I like it. It's actually really good. Thanks, Jared, for sending me this. If you're a salesperson like I am, or if you just want to learn about the cannabis industry, how to sell, it's very, very KISS, keep it simple, silly. It's a great book. I don't believe anybody's stupid. That's why I don't say stupid on the KISS. So, but great book, short read. I recommend it highly if you're interested in it. And I told him he can come on the show anytime he wants if he's ever in Chicago. So I'd love to hear about his 20 years experience in cannabis. We can go toe-to-toe on some stories, right, Mrs. Weedman? So, yeah. Jared, great book, man. Thanks for sending it over to me. Appreciate you. Mrs. Weedman? Got anything else to say?
It's snack time.
Snackity snack. Hey, everybody out in the world. happy to all you great women out there in the world, and just it's every day, not just this month and last month's Black History Month. It's every day. Your history is written every day, not just 1 month. Never forget that. So yes, we dedicate this month to women, but you've birthed me and gave this guy life. So thank you, women around the world. Appreciate you, love you. To everybody out in the world, peace be with you all. Please be safe. Love one another, man. Cannabis is the answer. I love you all. As Paulie always says, smoke smart. Puff, puff, and away.
Puff, puff, pass.